Welcome everybody to week 11 of Dodgeball season 19. Only two spots to fill in the playoffs. This week's Dodge Magazine cover, you see Coach Freeman. Is he out of Atlanta? I mean, there's a couple coaches in that position, but Coach Freeman, he's been let's just look through the history a little bit here. Coach Freeman has led the Skylarks to some pretty good success. His first season he was there, they were 2-8, but since then he hasn't had a losing record until last year. This stretch of time consistently in the top three of the league, but they haven't made the playoffs in a while. And this year has just been such a farce for them that a lot of people are saying maybe Coach Freeman is out of Atlanta. Another head that's probably going to roll, regardless of winning or losing this game, is going to be Coach Hurst out of the Captains. Just really hasn't turned the corner. They made the playoffs twice, but he just hasn't really been that big improvement that the owner has really wanted. It'll be interesting to see if the Reapers turn over again. It's been 3 straight seasons they've turned over their coach. I think, Cats, second year with Vossen, it didn't go as well as the third year with Vossen. Third year didn't go as well as the second year, so it'll be interesting to see there. Just look at the coaching carousel as we begin this. Rankings, Gold number 1, Gremlins number 2. The Gold pretty much clinch number 1 for the season before the week even starts. They're up 47 points over the Gremlins, so it would take a catastrophic loss and a great win by the Gremlins to get them and win their third straight number 1 for the season. So it's safe to say it's wrapped up by the Gold. Then you see 1 through 6 is wrapped up playoff spots. All the fun happens 7 through 10. Scarlet Ember, Blackers, Interceptors, and Sea Dogs, all needing a good win here to secure themselves. Rankings, the big shoot up has been the Interceptors, week 9 to week 10. I guess this is not the most current rankings. They are, but I'm pretty sure Sorry. Oh, that's the Blackers shooting up a whole bunch. Yeah, they shot up after that big win last week. Let's just get into the wins. Interceptors beating. This isn't updated. Well, this isn't accurate. Unless it is. Did they really beat them last week? For some reason, I don't remember that. But the Gremlins get their second loss to the Interceptors in St. Louis. 5-4. Dragonfish beat the Toros. Toros just having a dismal season, despite Reed having a great season. Skylarks getting their first win week 10 against the Cats. And it was a great playoff game here on the flex. Dizzy Devils, Checkers, but the Checkers they really convinced a lot of people that they're a real playoff team. The way they slammed down the 9th set and run that game. Woodreed's really coming out, Margay's beating or losing to the Blackers, pretty much eliminating their playoff chances and elevating the Blackers all of a sudden into the playoff race. Sea Dogs hold true. Ellie Miller plays amazing again, despite Curtis had the worst game of his season, but Corey played well, and the Sea Dogs overcome the Empire and pretty much end their season. Captains, meaningless win versus the Reapers. The Gold pretty much solidified number 1 by shutting out the Diamonds. Pharaohs and Silverbacks, they go back and forth, but It's the Silverbacks. Both teams kind of down and out this year, despite being pretty good. And then the Phoenix just drown out the Scarlet Ember, showing that they are a superior team. Greeley 10 for 10 throwing, playing very well. Ellie Miller now leads in the index above Sebastian, Greeley, and Ruiz. Presley, number 6. MVP race, Ellie Miller and Sebastian are right under Presley. So it'll be interesting to see what happens going into the playoffs if Presley can do the unprecedented and get the rookie MVP and league MVP. That'll be insane. But we'll see if that happens. Anyway, All-Stars. So it'll be interesting to see Curtis and Miller get right now are in the All-Stars for the North. Checkers have 3 going right now, tentatively. Sebastian and Mills make it. But right now, currently, we have 3 rookies. I mean, look at this race. This throwout ratio, Bam Bang. He could have one bad game from Bam Bang, and he's out of this thing. But he could be, first and second arm rookies. That's crazy. That just shows how much the prowess of this rookie class is. You can pretty much guarantee Jay West and Presley are in here. But Bam Bang, look for that race. That is a close race. All around, alternate Greeley. This is a solid team right now. Nobody's really missing. And then go through these teams in your own time. And then the matchups. We're going to be talking through every matchup as the week goes on, as we see what this final tally is. So we'll just get you right to the action. First game on the docket is the Captains hosting the Skylarks. And Captains, both these teams, there was a lot of turnover with the Captains, but, you thought they might do something this year. The thing about the Midwest is it's always a weak division, and, anybody can do anything. Skylarks were definitely big disappointment, so both these coaches could be playing for their last game for their organizations. You never know. They might do a switcheroo and be coaching both each other's teams next year, but I don't think that'll happen. A big problem for the Skylarks this year has just been Vasiliev getting the rock. Lambert is the captain, but he doesn't get the rock to the guy. He actually takes it himself. He throws the most on the team when he's the worst thrower. So it's just been chemistry problem for the Skylarks. The Captains, they don't have the star power necessary for today's game. They have a good rookie dasher in Dimitru, who just finished the set 3 for 3 throwing, but doesn't usually bode. And just to, recap, as Freeman's last, he's been a great coach for the Skylarks. We don't want to take that away from him. But, sometimes it's time to move on. It's been his 8th season, made 4 playoff appearances, won the division 3 times in those 8 seasons. So, he's been a successful coach. Not as legendary as the previous coach who went won the division 3 years in a row, and the previous coach before that who won their only championship. But the era of success they had through the mid 2010s was, but that never could get over the hump, never could just win that big game. Captains. And Coach Hurst, on the other hand, his fourth season, new team. He was an assistant at the Empires, so he was touted, touted as having the scrappiness of Coach Ramos and changing the roster around and making shrewd deals. Sorry, but Chowdhury gets his first interception of the game. Captain's playing well. I mean, they won 4 games this season. They weren't terrible. They just haven't had any pizzazz. But yeah, Coach Hurst, he's been on the hot seat for a while now in Colorado. It's just probably time that he's gonna get his comeuppance because. But the captain's trying to do a shout out to end the season. Hurst trying to show that he wants his job to stay. They have some seeds. I think the big thing they got to do is figure out what to do with Soto. Stop paying him so much or get rid of him. Esparza, he's solid. I mean, he's such a great volume shooter, but you need more star power. It's just the fact of the matter. Dimitru, great dasher there. Chowdhury, good defender, but they need a team captain on this team. Esparza's good. He's a working man's, favorite, but they need a player to give that pizzazz. I mean, they have 4 wins, about to be 5 wins, but it's not looking like, it's not enough to be in any kind of conversation. So if they keep Coach Hurst, he's going to have to make some big moves. If they don't keep Coach Hurst, they're going to bring somebody in that's willing to make big moves. And how fitting is it that Lambert is the last one out for the Skylarks, the last one fighting, because this whole season's been on his shoulders, not by choice, not by the coach's choice, and they get shut out to lose their final game. The Skylarks do. So as these games roll in, we will be live tabulating results. So Skylarks just absolutely getting marked that game. Skylarks captains. Yeah, so I mean that was ugly, and it's characteristic. Lambert has 9 throws, even though he's the worst player on the team. Why is he getting that much volume? Vito didn't play well. That's been all season. Vasilyev played okay, but he doesn't get his volume. And Esparza, 72.9 index for the game. He's been doing that all year. Dimitru, 75 index. But yeah, just more woes for the Skylarks. Captains, I believe that was their biggest win of the season. You know, Dolly Dimitriou's gonna get his MVP first of the season, but he's gonna be in the All-Star game. He was the best dasher in the league, in the division. So good on him. So let's see, refresh this data. According to the average, the captains are going to move up a little. Skylark's probably not going to be below Toros or Diamonds. As far as, it's too early to be thinking about this kind of stuff, but for some of these teams, that's where you start. Draft picks next year. Diamonds have their draft pick. Toros do as well. The Skylarks have a lot of draft picks. The Skylarks have 3 draft picks next year, so it's perfect. It's perfect timing for a coaching change because they're going to have a lot to deal with. Captains do not have a draft pick. But let's get to the other game. Next game, Reapers and Cats. Reapers and Cats, they played last year as well. They beat them 5-1. Cats beat the Reapers 5-1 last year. The Reapers are just kind of a team where, they have all you need offensively. They have really nothing else to offer. So it's been a tough go for them. They brought Jason back in for some familiarity. But he was really not much of a factor this year for him. Braden Snelling, he's been having a solid season as a rookie. There's so many impactful rookies this year, like Baptiste, Bam Bang. 3 rookies in this game, they're all impactful. And that's not usually the case. There's usually a couple rookies each year that are like, okay, they're going to be a certified player in this league. But this year has just been really the year of the rookie, and you can see that with the heights of Presley, the remarkable feat he's going to accomplish. Whether or not he even wins MVP for the season, it's very likely he's going to be leading the points race going into the playoffs. Some people wondering if Festus Vossen is going to be gone after this season. They had a chance. They were in striking distance of making a playoff run. Lost a bad one to the Checkers, and they just got sent to the shadow round pretty much. They were very close to getting into the invite last year. And then Harry Harper retired on them, but they brought in Snelling. He's been a great stopgap. Sanchito defensively he's underperformed, 37 index for the season. That's really not what they wanted him for. In his old age, he's still useful as a defender, but you need a little more action out of him. They would have been solid. Nobody can figure out if Stevens wants to be a star or not. You know, when he plays well, he plays well, but he ghosts a lot of times. So, you know, Somerset seems to be settling in nicely in New Orleans. If they get Snelling to settle in, obviously James and Sanchito are kind of on the way out. So it'll be interesting to see who they can get in here to bolster this team that has a lot of upside and potential, especially when you consider the Toros are still in turmoil. The Dragonfish, you know, they're doing well, but they're playing way above their weight. Um, they're volatile. They have a lot of very talented players that are going to win a lot of money. So if the Cats can make a couple plays in the off season while keeping their core of Snelling, Stevens, and Somerset, look at all the S's on this team. They can make a splash. And for the Reapers, I mean, it's pretty simple. If they can actually retain their coach after one season, maybe Danielson can start to build something. He did a great job getting Bam Bang and Baptiste in here, re-signing Leche. So, I mean, their offense is absolutely set. Capley, I don't know if you keep him as a dasher. He's kind of a liability. If I was Danielson, I would get rid of the dashing element and just bolster that defense. You have two great defenders. You have this young burgeoning throw talent. This team will be unstoppable. But we have yet to see. We'll see. It's just been so long for this Reapers fan base that they had something to cheer for. It's been, let's see how long it's been. I mean, it's really getting serious now with this playoff drought. They have missed the playoffs now 7 seasons in a row. I don't even know what the previous record. The Marlies only had a 6-year drought, and that seemed forever. The Pharaohs had a long drought. They had a 7-year drought. I think that's the record. So the Reapers tying the record. It's not good. It's not good. You have a very, very, very hungry fan base. The Cats on the precipice of winning. Bam Bang's not really had a very consistent game. He's usually very good throw-wise, but they've been on him. See if he can retain his all-dodge second arm, which is just unheard of. But again, he's a great thrower. He's a phenom. There's just so many phenoms in this class that it's like, okay, yeah, Baptiste is a 97 thrower as a rookie. Yeah, Bam Bang's a 109 thrower as a rookie. Yeah, Snelling's an 88 thrower as a rookie. But have you seen Shimon Presley? You know, Blair Campana is an 87 catcher, and it's hard to make any headlines when you have a rookie such as Shimon Presley leading the MVP race. I mean, we haven't seen anything like this ever. The only person comparable is Charlie, and he led the MVP race at the beginning of the season, and then reality set in. But reality is not set in yet for Shimon Presley. And Bam Bang seems to be getting back at it. It's all on Capley to try to extend this game to a 9th set. James dodges. James Gets him out, and the Cats walk away with the victory. Bam bang, 60% throwing. I mean, it's such a close game that this might tip the scales away from Bam Bang in the throw throw race. Volson with that win, he's completely in the clear. No hot seat for him. You know, the way they like to do it in New Orleans is a slow build. It's pretty much opposite of the Reapers. They like to do a slow build. Snelling 11 points. Gets the MVP for the game. I mean, no joke. Like if the Reapers fire another coach, honestly, like the fans and the league itself, I'd say needs to step in, because you cannot keep rebuilding every season. Like there's nothing to rebuild from, especially this season where you have, Lecce's only 3 years old, but 4 seasons in next year. You have 2 rookies coming off great seasons. So you have your foundation. So it will be interesting to see. So Reapers, Cats have their own draft pick. The Captains have the Reapers draft pick next year. No, the Reapers have the Captains draft pick next year. Interesting. Captains finish ahead of the Reapers. If the Scarlet Ember get absolutely defaced, they could be behind the Captains, but that's probably not going to happen. Let's go to the next game. Margay's Diamonds. Margay's, if they can go ballistic here, they have a chance. But they're the type of team that just misses out on opportunities. Just like last week, they were in the driver's seat against a division rival, the team they need to beat to get out of the playoff race, and they completely melted down. Obviously, you're going to need Cunningham and Pascal to have great, as we were talking about last game, Cunningham leading a team as a rookie. Nobody cares. There's too many of them. This isn't normal. Maybe it's what's happening. The league is finally turning over. A lot of the older stars are starting to make way for the newer stars, and it's kind of a watershed moment. Because next year, every coach, every scouter, recruiter has been looking to this year's collegiate draft class as the one. So for this class that didn't even have a full combine because there wasn't enough qualified athletes to have performed at this level has been very unexpected. And so if next year does what it's promised, we're going to have a bunch of sophomores and freshmen as the faces of the league this next season. It's going to, I mean, this is a pivoting time for the DBL for sure. Margay's doing all of the right things. I mean, with a big enough win, they could do some damage. I mean, they're only, but still, 20 points behind the Sea Dogs. If we're just being frank, it's not out of the question that they can get to the playoffs. They just haven't played like it all season. The Margay's putting on a little bit of a show here. They're trying to get into these playoffs, man. The Diamonds are not the team to stop them either. Diamonds, have you seen Sven? He's absolutely gone after this season. There's no reason. He's imploding. And that's what happens in old age. Some players play long. Some players just hit that 10-year mark and just, their body breaks down on them. Oof, big catch by Ramsey. The Diamonds are really, never mind. They're not going to get the shutout. But unless Jay Carlton has something to say about it. Nope. But if they get a 50-plus win game, it'll still be interesting. Because if the Sea Dogs lose and it's like a 30-pointer, it'll come down to it. Diamonds reeling. Margay's hoping to get this strong win. Strong win here, And they're just a team that's built to do damage. If they can manage to get into these playoffs, there's really no telling what they can do. Pascal having a pretty good game. But it's pretty much a win from either the Blackers or Sea Dogs. And the Margays probably won't be going. So you never know. With a win this strong, this is a strong win from the Margays. This is a really strong win. 58.4? I might have spoke too soon, man. I I might have spoke too soon. This might make things interesting. Because even with a 38 point win, like that could happen. The Sea Dogs could win at 38 points or something. Not likely at all, but it could still be something. Like with a big win like this, possibly the Margate's biggest win all season. They had a couple big wins. They had a cupcake schedule. Nope, not their biggest win. They beat the Sea Dogs pretty badly. But the Diamonds, they haven't made the playoffs in a bit. They're looking like they're going to be hosting next year's. No, not how it works. Not how it works anymore. They're going to be hosting the Western Final Divisional. But they do get the first pick in the draft. Yeah, they have less points than the Toros, who haven't played yet, so they're down bad. So it's looking like this Atlanta is probably going to be hosting the championship next year, unless the Toros have a 45-point win over. So it's kind of funny. The Toros could play into hosting a championship, which is, that's economic improvement. There's always an angle to look for. Diamonds own their own pick, so they get the number one draft pick of a stacked class. So it's kind of perfect for them because the Diamonds are chock full of old players. And they're gonna get cream of the crop. Margays. Sea Dogs need to put down a 37-point game to make the playoffs. This is scary. This is getting scary now. Blackers need to put up 51 points to make the playoffs. The Margays have set the bar. Now, the bar has been set. On to the next game where we have the Toros and the Scarlet Ember. Scarlet Ember are, I believe, 13 points behind the Interceptors. 14 points behind the Interceptors. Not starting very well for the Scarlet Ember. Now the Toros, I mean, they have good talent where they have it, but Pheromone, Spino, and Del Olmo, just big drains. 32 index, 25 index. I mean, they wanted somebody young and with potential in Del Olmo. He got worse. He has worse stats. He would not qualify for the combine with the way he's played this season. That's not what you expect. Getting a young, hungry player. That's what you get. And those Spino, he's not really turned over the leaf and really started to hit his stride. You know, coming into his senior season of college, he was the best player in college. But that was really his peak. If Coach Wagner knows what's good for him, those two players won't be here next year. Vega seems to have kind of hit his stride. He's had a much better season, more stable season than usual. But it's just been a tough go for the Toros. Now the luck is on the Scarlet Ember's side. The Interceptors, I believe, for 3 seasons now, the final week of the season has been the determining factor in them missing or making the playoffs, and they've been bad at making the playoffs. They were 7-4 last year, missed the playoffs. 6-5 the year before, missed the playoffs. I mean, they've had playoff hopes handed to them. And this season they went out and got it, though. I mean, they really came back from nothingness to be in this conversation. With the Scarlet Ember, 8 straight seasons. Now they're realizing how hard it is to make the playoffs every year. But with a good win here, I mean, pretty much if they win in the 40s and the Interceptors simply lose, they're probably in the playoffs. Now, if they win big, then the Interceptors are going to have to win guaranteed to make the playoffs. Almost last one's left. If the Scarlet Ember can do this, if they can push this game, it's gonna be playoffs for them. If they're in the 50s, it's gonna be on the Interceptors to have an amazing game versus Dragonfish in Florida. By the way, Dragonfish are playing well. Reed's been shut out this game. Vega's played well. One more set and the Scarlet Ember are looking pretty. It's on Rutledge. Spino catches. All that smack I was talking about, Spino leading the team, well, second best in index for the team right now. So what do I know? Let's see if the Scarlet Ember can prevent a crumble. Because they need to win big. To put their heart at ease. Doesn't look like it's happening though. Toro seem to be getting wise to this. I think we all remember the last time these two met. Toros were coming in as absolute hosses. And the Scarlet Ember had these guys down, I believe, 4-1. And, I mean, look at that win streak that they had. Let's just pause right now. The Toros unbeatable 24-game win streak in the regular season. It was almost stopped short right here. It was a week 6 matchup on the road versus the Scarlet Ember, and it was flexed up, and they barely won that. It was an epic. Still to this day, you know, overshadows the championship that these two teams played against each other as their most memorable whenever you think of these two teams. Jack remembers that. Reed remembers that. And that's about, Lawrence remembers that. And Scarlet Ember looking to finish these guys off. And it's a 43.6 index. Toros go out sad. 9 losses for the Toros. Even though Spinell played well. Del Olmo didn't. Reed didn't do anything defensively. Yeah, I mean, Scarlet Ember, just great participation from them. But yeah, when it rains it pours, and the Toros just a season they'd like to forget. The Scarlet Ember, I mean, they did some. I mean, there's a scenario where the Interceptors can lose. It's about to be a close game and a loss. But the Scarlet Ember did their job, getting the win at home to try to go to the playoffs for their first time in a couple seasons. And the question is, how long will Jack play in his 9th season? All 9 seasons with the Scarlet Ember. He's obviously the darling of Nebraska. I mean, he's been the face of this team pretty much since he came in the league. He was a Rookie of the Year. 2 seasons later, won the league MVP. It's a little bit of story between these two teams too. Rookie of the Year was between him, Jack of the Scarlet Ember, and Raekwon. Remember him? Of the Toros. But it was Jack that won the MVP. 2 years later, he won the league MVP. In the year, maybe a couple years after that, Raekwon of the Toros won league MVP. So, a little bit of trivia about two teams that really shouldn't have that much in common, but they really kind of do have a lot of run-ins. So the stage is set. I mean, the Interceptors pretty much just have to win. Interceptors win, they're in. They need 29 points to get into the playoffs. And the Toros don't do enough. The Toros will not be hosting the championship. They will be hosting the Southern final. Skylarks will be hosting the championship. Captains hosting the Midwest final. The Reapers will be hosting an invite. And the Cats will be hosting the other invite. Maybe. Empire could still do it. Well, no. No. Yeah. So these are your 7 hosts next year. Let's get you to the next game. Interceptors right now. So, yeah. Yeah. The schedule's heating up now, man. Pivotal game. Pivotal game. Wait a minute. No. Blackers should be next. Blackers are next. I don't know how I got this out of order. Gonna have to wait on this legendary epic match. So we're gonna do some Northern, because this is gonna be the Blackers this game, and then the Sea Dogs this next game, and this is gonna be exciting because Blackers need a big win. I mean, the Margays really set the stage. They need 51 points. They need to absolutely own the Pharaohs here. Starting out pretty good. Richard playing well. 3 for 3 throwing. And the Pharaohs, I mean, there was not that much expected of the Pharaohs this year after losing Charlie so late in the offseason. But they put together some games and they had a little bit of a run. Tamp doing his thing. Mikado, any other year he'd be a solid rookie, but this year with the crazy rookies, he's kind of overlooked. But he hasn't disappointed. The Pharaohs win that first set, and the walls starting to close in on the Blackers. They're not trying to get too down, but they need this to be an amazing game. But, I mean, to lose if you're going to lose a set, lose it 5-4. But don't lose anymore. I mean, you pretty much have to go a good 5-2 or a okay 5-1 to get above 50 points. Murrah with the dodge. Trying to get this first set win. Mikado with the catch. Gonna throw to West. Oh no, they go down 0-2. It's getting tight right now. It is getting tight for the Blackers. They're gonna have to play some good ball now. Yeah, I mean, this game looks like it's kind of getting away from Coach Mayer and the gang. They might be able to win still, but I don't know. This back line's holding strong. Blackers, the only team in the league that have not made the playoffs yet. But at the same time, this is their 4th season, so it's not crazy. Actually, it's their 5th season, I think. Yeah, it's 5th season. So that's not very good. I mean, the biggest streak in the league is 7 years no playoffs, followed by 7 years, and then followed by 5 years. So, third longest streak in league history of not making the playoffs. Now, I mean, they can always say they have the curse of Tony Mills, the player who was stripped from them that they drafted. But Sully Rutledge wanted, you know, made a big stink about his contract. They signed an illegal contract, had to get him traded. It was a big mess. And they've been scarred from that ever since, watching Tony Mills win an MVP, watching him win a championship. Meanwhile, Blackers, formerly the Jocks, had to move cities. And they just really are in a division that is at their prime. But with a player like Mills, that's just an all Dodge type caliber player, they would be able to compete. But they just haven't really found their guy. They had Robertson. They had, who did they have last year? They had a solid guy last year that slipped through their fingers. The Pharaohs pretty much making this a failed playoff run from the Blackers. They just, I mean, Cardi playing well, 3 catches. Tamp hasn't been playing that well. Zach's been playing well. They're doing nothing but being a spoiler. They have no playoff hosting aspirations. Well, they could have hosted an invite if they played poorly enough. But it doesn't look like they're going to. Well, if they lose, they actually will host an invite game. But it doesn't look like they're going to lose. They're playing very well against the Blackers. The Blackers, the strong set there. That was a strong set. I mean, they're not going to be able to do anything with that, but the Pharaohs could do something and make sure they lose this game so they can host a playoff game next year. Economic impact. You got to play from all sides. So Jay West left to save the Blackers' season, and Mikado can't get the interception. Jay West outed, and the Blackers are out of contention. And honestly, for Coach Candleson, this was an impressive season. It really was. I mean, dealt a very bad hand to begin the season, but able to turn something into a season. He's on the hot seat. I mean, he is technically, but And the Blackers just, even if the Margays didn't do what they did, they pretty much would be out of the playoffs with that loss. You know, they got everybody's hearts racing with that win last week. And then they just lay an egg. Let's look at it now. Yep. Blackers 18 points too short. So, haven't showed this graphic yet, but Blackers are out. And the Margays in the driver's seat for that north spot. Now we have the Sea Dogs. No looking back. Sea Dogs, they played. I mean, Ellie Miller and Curtis have played amazing all season. And it would suck to see it end here, especially with an out of nowhere surge from the Margays. Curtis had a bad game last week. Absolutely looking for him to have an amazing game. They don't have to have an amazing game. They just have to win. That's pretty much it. 37 points. Get the win. Just get it. You know, if they can get Ellie Miller going. But you never, and that's the thing about the Silverbacks. When Salazar goes, I mean, he can play very well. Temp's been playing very well lately. This team can be tough, but they get the first set. 4 more for the Sea Dogs. It's nerve-wracking, you know? It's hard to say I'm not impartial. I just think the Sea Dogs have much better story. They've really worked hard for this. And the Margays have just kind of wasted talent. And Ellie Miller goes with his first catch of this game. Curtis is on fire right now. Ellie Miller dodges. You know, they can play this game all day. Down to Solomon. Solomon's out. 5 points for Curtis so far. Zavitz to Miller, and Miller catches. This is the game they play. Up 2-0 right now. Zavitz gets the set start. Down to Salazar. And Ellie Miller with the interception. Just setting the tone, trying to demoralize this team before it gets out of hand. Another interception from Ellie Miller. This man is trying to get this league MVP. Absolutely trying. And this is only their second game playing. They've only met twice. The last time these teams met was in 2008. That is unbelievable, really. That's unbelievable that they've been dodging each other this long. No pun intended. And Salazar's mailing it in as he usually does. But the Silverbacks have the advantage right now. In this set, Temp with the catch. And he's just going at him. Garcia, rookie out of Peru, has not formed into the player they wanted. Same thing with Davin Peters. Coach Head, I mean, he inherited a great team, but he added Curtis. But Davin Peters, Garcia, those are two big misses from Coach Head. If they were gets, I mean, this team would be solid. Ellie Miller folds again. Sea Dogs started out 3-0. What is happening? 3-3. Can somebody step up and stop this? Corey can't. Davin Peters has a little bit of an arm on him. Throws for Temp. Temp with the catch. And the Silverbacks kind of come back in this thing. Garcia out. And the Silverbacks trying to even things up after a 3-0 start from the Sea Dogs. Curtis needs to warm back up. Ellie Miller needs to warm back up. Salazar now throws up to Miller. Miller catches that one. And the boys are back. That's really how it goes for the Sea Dogs. But Sonia with an uncharacteristic catch, and Miller gets out. He's been just getting kind of a sitting duck today. Peters Sonia with the catch. Man, Alsonio saves the set for the Silverbacks. But Corey catches, and it might not be over. It might not be all she wrote here. Corey out. And this Zavitz now throws for Corey. Corey's out. And Garcia. And Zavitz doesn't have much of a defensive bone. And he's out. And the Sea Dogs need one more set. And they are off to the playoffs, leaving the Margays in the dust. But a valiant effort. And Ellie Miller with the catch. The man is trying to get this MVP for the season. Curtis reaches 10 points for the game. Sonio. Ellie Miller. I mean, he's been great, but been kind of a sitting duck today. Curtis catches the ball. 12 points for Curtis. And it's all she wrote. And the Sea Dogs answer the call. And they make the playoffs. 50.1. Curtis, 13 points. Ellie Miller, 8.71.9 index. Wow. Just wow. We have our first clinch of the night. It was tight. I mean, it was, the Margays threw their hat in the ring after seemingly exiting the ring last week. And the Silverbacks, Salazar played terrible. Why did he play terrible? Curtis and Ellie Miller hemmed him up, got him a little demoralized. But this just happens too often with Salazar. It just happens way too often for a guy that's as talented as he is. I mean, what a characteristic way for Curtis and Ellie Miller to go to the playoffs. Which pretty much not the Sea Dogs, but Curtis and Ellie Miller, because that's who the Sea Dogs are. With both of them over, it would have been more fitting if they both had double digits, but both of them over 70 index for the game. Curtis, Ellie Miller really wanted that MVP for the game, so he could get 3 points, so he could tie Presley going in. Well, actually, he wouldn't tie him because Presley's going to get 2 points guaranteed. But Ellie Miller's last back half of the season, just amazing. Average of a 74 index the last 7 games of the season. He had a little bit of a lull early in the season, but he came back with an absolute vengeance. the way he's played, I think he deserves a MVP for the season. I really do. Sea Dogs clinch by 13 points over the Margates. 13 points. 13 points. And they play the Dizzy Devils. I don't quite remember where the... it's in Philadelphia. And now we have the final clincher of the night. Interceptors. They pretty much need to win. They could lose well. They could lose well. In Interceptors fashion, they could lose well and fall into the playoffs. But they're trying to win this thing. They're trying to just run into the playoffs and face the Gremlins. Will be praying the Dragonfish wipe the floor with this team. You know why? Because the Gremlins, in their last 4 games, they've lost 3 to the Interceptors. There's something about Kyle and Coach Douglas that the Gremlins can't shake. So they're counting on the Dragonfish to keep doing what they've been doing all year, which is have this crew of old players play substantial ball in a team format. Like, none of them are like amazing game in, game out, but Willis can have a great game. Thomas can have a game. Thompson can have a great game. Not really Brantley, but it's been interesting to watch this. And the Interceptors seem to be fumbling the bag coming out of this. Interceptors answer back. Interceptors rolling right now. Kyle playing well. Hansen playing well. You know, and that's what Doug's has tried to do over the past couple years, is get just reliable hitters around Kyle. They're trying to get defenders, but they're like, let's just get reliable hitters around Kyle. Hansen, Brantley finishes the set. But Hansen and McCarron have played pretty well as a stopgap. Obviously, their defense is suspect. But the Gremlins, I mean, they just lost to this team. They just lost to the Interceptors. You can't tell me they're not scared of the Interceptors. They don't want revenge. They don't want to have to deal with revenge. They want to not have to play them in the playoffs so that they don't have to get embarrassed in the divisional round like two years ago. They're not. I mean, they're vulnerable. The Gremlins are vulnerable this year. They're still great. They're still amazing. They're number 2 in the league for a reason, but compared to the years past, way more vulnerable. And the Interceptors tie it up. All they need is 29 points. They don't need to win the game. They just have to not lose poorly. And this game's just going back and forth. Dragonfish trying to just roll into the playoffs. They've had a great season, just exceeding expectations. Let's see who they even lost to. Dragonfish, they lost to the Cats and Checkers early on. Went on a 5-game win streak, lost to the Blackers. But they beat the Checkers. That was a big pivotal game for them, beating the Checkers at home. I believe it was flexed up. Yeah, it was on the flex. They won that game, and they've been respected ever since. Interceptors just trading blows, doing their best to just stay in the game, keep it close, keep it nice. Andrea Cardi with the set start. You know, I don't think the people in St. Louis are ever going to forget the way Andrea Cardi played in that shutout game versus the Scarlet Ember. That final set, he had 4 points. It was insane, but it was perfect. It symbolized what had happened that day. The Scarlet Ember were absolutely outwitted and outmatched in every way, and they were mentally drained. Interceptors take the 4-3 lead now, trying to head into the playoffs with momentum. They've had time and time again, they've fumbled their way into the playoffs. This season, they're playing strong. This is a difference in years past. They're playing strong in this part of the season versus getting a bunch of wins early and kind of falling apart towards the end. You know, the Dragonfish aren't going to leave without a fight, and that's how they're built. Brantley interception. And now, Clowney, last one left for the Interceptors. Clowney dodges. Clowney to throw down to Thomas. Thomas out. And Clowney catches. Clowney playing his butt off. Throws to Brantley. Brantley dodges. Up to Albrecht. Dragonfish take this to 9 sets. This is the first time the Dragonfish are playing the Interceptors since 2012. Thompson, the interception, and the Interceptors. It's going to be a close finish here. Dragonfish have the advantage. Thompson catches. Albrecht down to Accardi. Accardi dodges. Accardi now gonna throw up to Thompson. Thompson out. Can Accardi have the magic again? Goes to Cardi out in the Dragonfish. But it's just enough. They lose. They fall into the play. They played strong. It was a 9-set game, playoff atmosphere. And both these teams will be in the playoffs. Interceptors, I mean, they've done it before. Going into the playoffs without a winning record. It's not the worst record that's ever gone into the playoffs. The Gold, obviously, went into the playoffs 4-7, won the whole thing. So, if you can believe that. Interceptors beat their rival, the Scarlet Ember, by 7 points. Now, if the Scarlet Ember had just won that last set and forced it to 6 sets, I believe the Scarlet Ember will be in the playoffs. Every set matters. Every throw matters. And this is evidence. This is how it happens. Down to the last 3 games, pretty much just celebration games for Phoenix. And we have a great matchup at the final. Well, the final 2 games are playoff matchups, easily index/championship games. So the treat to end the regular season for you folks. And Empire making quick work at first set. Oof, Brass intercepting Hans freely. Phoenix, they played solidly all season. They've just played well, and it's been good enough. Brass, another interception. They can't play this lax. I mean, it's kind of a dress rehearsal. They're gonna play at home versus on the divisional. just like the first time they made the playoffs versus the gold. Um, oh my goodness! Somebody stop Brass. Is Brass going for the record? Interception record. Brass is way behind. Durant would have to set the record. He'd have to break the interceptions in a game record to set the new record, to break the old record. He'd have to tie the record for interceptions in a game, to tie the interceptions in a season record at 35. So it's probably not going to happen. It's just crazy how Brass and Durant, they're not even the best catchers or anything, but they're always at the forefront of the interception game. And Hans Greeley is getting beat up, 0 index. Blair Campana, 0 index. This is a very interesting game the Empire are throwing their way. And Cooper having to fight the battles for this team. Hans Greeley's just not, he's not bringing it today. Brass is playing very well. Wow, Brass is unstoppable. Just a little bit. Just get a little bit done today, Greeley. That's all. I don't need to win the game, but show something. 0. Not playing well. Not playing well right now. Gerst with the dodge. 5th dodge of the game. Not playing well. Blair Campana not playing well. Those are the 2 players that they need to win this playoff game next week. Brass can't be stopped. Cannot be stopped. Empire playing so well. Humongous shutout. Doesn't mean anything? Does it? Does it mean something? I don't think it does. 70. No, it doesn't mean anything. It almost did. That was scary. You never know. With shutouts like that, you never know. Because 70 points is so much more than the usual win. But what a shameful way to end the season for the Phoenix. 10 points, 15.9 index on an otherwise amazing season. Really 5 for 2 throwing, 0 catches. He didn't even attempt to catch the ball. He was only targeted twice. He was his own worst enemy, throwing himself out. And Blair Campana, what happened? Just chalk this up to an anomalous end of season game. That's all you can really do. Brass played amazing for some reason. And so did Gerst. It's really hard to play well when you have Brass playing that well as Gerst, both in the defensive aspect of the game. What are you supposed to do? Both, it's a brick wall of defense. Brass gets his first MVP of the season. 7th season. The Empire actually jump ahead of the Margays. They jump ahead of the Margays. They didn't want to be stuck hosting anything next year. And Phoenix, despite that huge loss, well, I mean, there's a bunch of teams that still have to play, but they're still ahead of the Sea Dogs. Gremlins, Checkers, this should be a good one. Nothing really on the line right now, but should be a good one. This is the first time the Checkers and Gremlins are matching each up against each other. Cola versus Mujia. Cola played for Cola with the catch. Gremlins, they know what they have to do. Oh, I forgot to put in the Interceptors clinching. Congratulations, Interceptors. That's your playoff picture. They're playing him close, man. They're playing him close. Raekwon can't get the interception, but Ruiz throws for Doyle. Doyle's out. Nails the catch. Del Durant catches. Durant looking good before the playoffs. catch. Usually not a catch guy, usually interception guy. But Cola catches the ball. And it's Doyle to Pelletier. Pelletier dodges. And forget, Doyle's a rookie. 76 thrower. I mean, so many quality rookies. And the Gremlins take the 3-1 lead over the Checkers. Mills interception. Gets Durant. Pelletier catches the ball, but is it too late? Gia down to Milosiswe catches. Gremlins on the precipice of winning this game pretty big. Raekwon catches. They extend the game one set. Checkers, regardless of this outcome, believe they're gonna have the most wins in the league. Nope. Yeah. Gold might tie them. This is by far the most wins the Checkers have ever had in a season. Second best, 6 wins 3 seasons ago. They made the playoffs for their only time. Coach Alexander days. Mujia to Doyle, and Doyle's out, and the Checkers are not done. Second interception for Mills. Down to Sebastian. And it's all over. Gremlins finish the job. Doesn't really change anything, just more of a pride game. A lot of people wrote off the Checkers after, I mean, they had a lot of close wins, and then they got their breaks beat off by the Dragonfish. A lot of people wrote them off, but after last week's triumphant win over the Dizzy Devils, it was like, wait a minute, this team has something going on. So we'll see where they land. Dragonfish, I don't even think they beat the they might have barely be beating the Gold points wise. after this win, but that's without the gold playing a game. Mills gets his 5th MVP for the season. Yep, Dragonfish. I mean, Gremlins right below him. Maybe look at the Empire. Margays. Both finish ahead of the Midwestern teams. The North was tough this year, man. The North was very competitive. And finally, you get could easily be a championship game, easily an invite game. Dizzy Devils gold. Dizzy Devils have kind of chilled on playing well the past couple weeks. Let's see if they got it. Charlie versus Presley, his protege. And close, but Hakeem with the catch to end that set. Quintana gets picked by Middlestein on the dash. Middlestein's not even a good dasher. Charlie for Presley. Presley's out. That's the goal. This game is just to keep Presley under wraps. But they have the dashing mismatch. McFadden can't get Charlie. McFadden hasn't been playing well for a while now. Timor over to Fournet. Fournet out. Fournet's really come up as a defender. Charlie having a good set here. He's had a couple rough games this season, so his index is just kind of shot. Campaign with the catch, and the Dizzy Devils trying to win this thing. Campaign playing like he's supposed to have been playing for the past 4 years. Quintana with the set start. Now up to Presley. Presley gonna go. For Nate, you gotta get somebody trying to cover for him because Presley's on it. Timor outed. I don't know why Timor's number 1. What kind of offense are they running? Seriously, what kind of offense are they running that Timor's their number 1 goal? Keem with another catch. Joseph now over to McFadden. McFadden's out. Down to Quintana. Quintana to Hakeem. Hakeem dodges. Joseph. Quintana dodges. Excuse me. Another dodge. Up to Joseph. Joseph, Quintana. Gold. Get it. Gold have actually never been number 1 for the season, if you can believe that. Fournet has got to step into these because Presley has the beam. interception by McFadden. Presley back on the sticks, throws for Hakeem. Hakeem out. This defense has to start shining through for the gold. And another interception for McFadden. That was close. That was super close. There we go. Fournette can't get the interception, but ran interference. Now Charlie gets to throw the ball. McFadden can't get the interception, but ran interference, and Presley gets to throw it. That's exactly what these guys are trying to do. And Presley, 7 for 7. Campaign. Middlestein. Kareem Hakeem. Can he do it? Gets him out. Quintana's down, throwing for Hakeem. Hakeem with the dodge. Third of the game. Hakeem, I mean, this has been a close game. But Quintana dodges. And now Quintana to throw to Hakeem. Gets the catch, and that's 2 sets now for the goal that Hakeem has saved. Otherwise, this is a 4-1 game. Presley is absolutely on fire today. Middlestein, Presley out. Up to Tymore. Tymore to Fournette. Fournette, his first defensive stop of the game. Middlestein up to McFadden. McFadden catches the ball. He's playing fine. Campaign throws for Hakeem. Hakeem catches. Game's getting defensive now. Joseph to McFadden. McFadden out. Quintana up to Hakeem. Hakeem, another catch in the gold. Looking at a victory to get to 9 wins on the season. Presley finally misses, and Charlie takes advantage. Now Fournette, they're doing the defensive press, and now Fournette with the interception. Hakeem throwing the ball for some reason. McFadden dodges, and now gonna be Campaign. Campaign throws to Hakeem. Hakeem, another catch. Charlie now up to McFadden. McFadden's out. It's all on Quintana. Can the Dizzy Devils go into the playoffs with such a losing streak? And Hakeem, 7 catches on the game. Gold number 1 for the season. Cruise into the playoffs. And thank you all. This is your playoff picture. Thank you all for an amazing season. We will see you in divisional round for the divisional round for all the All-Star names, update on the MVP race, everything. So thank you for tuning in. We'll see you then.